everyone, welcome to the fresh episode of Model Insights with me, your host Sujata. Today we have with us Ms Vanessa Vane. She's a musician and an influencer and loves to style herself. The 29-year-old model is currently working on herself and on a hip hop and R&B album. Let us all welcome Vanessa to the show. Hi Vanessa, I hope you are doing well. How are you?
I'm very good. Thank you for having me.
Yes, we are glad to have you at our show and I hope that you'll enjoy this with us. Yeah. Okay, so moving forward, let us all start with you introducing yourselves to our audience.
Hi, everybody. I am Vanessa Vane. I am a singer / rapper, entertainer, and influencer. Also a single mom. So my hands are always full and I'm always busy doing something. But modeling is something that kind of ties into everything that I do. And this is why I'm here today. So
that's amazing. I mean, I am glad to know that you are actually a whole package. We can say that you are the jack of all trades because there's so many things. Amazing. Okay, so let's talk about your modeling career. How and when did it begin? Tell us about that.
So when I was young, I had a lot of people come up to me off the street sometimes, even, in friend groups. And they always said, you should be a model. You're so beautiful. I mean, it's something that, from a young age, people noticed in me that I could probably do. It was never like a passion or anything like that for me. But when I started writing and recording my own music and started doing my own music videos and networking with people, it kind of started to accidentally tie into what I do. Because as an artist, you need photography, you need videos and that stuff. You learn how to be a model in that sense without even knowing it, right? So modeling kind of started for me at like 19 years old when I started making my own music and started recording my own music. And then, photographers were hitting me up a lot. They wanted to do my promotions. They wanted to do my artwork for my albums. And so I accidentally, got into the modeling thing because of what I do for a living. The music always ties in with it, right? So around 19 years old is when I started to kind of tap into like the photography and video world.
Exactly. So we see that you actually started very young, at the young age of 19. So what is it that actually kept you going and to never give up? I mean, at a young age of 19, staying focused and getting yourself masters in so many fields. So what did you do? Like, how did you keep?
Well, my music is what fuels me, right? So in music, you need to be able to promote yourself and you need to have visuals and anything that is going to bring my music career to the highest peak that it can be is going to keep me going, right? So music is really that's my focus, and anything I got to do to get to that is I will do. So that's why modeling has been such a thing for me, because I need it to continue on with my music, right?
Exactly. And you told me in your answer that all of your friends used to tell you that you're beautiful, and let me tell that you are actually beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so moving forward, as we all know that hardships are meant to be learned from. And of course, every person has their own set of hardships and tribulations in their life. And you must be having yours too. So what were those hardships and what is it that kept you going at that time?
Hardships, I think, especially in this industry, in the industry of modeling and music, the hardships lies around sexuality. I feel for me, that's because being a beautiful woman, it's always kind of difficult to tell when somebody wants to work with you because of business, or if they want to work with you because of the way you look and something else that they might be intending. So my hardships in the music industry and in the modeling industry has always lied within me not being able to trust the person that I am trying to do business with. A lot of these industries are pretty dominated by men, as we can agree. And when we're speaking about the background, when we're speaking about the business aspect, there's a lot of men involved in these industries. And a lot of the times, I have faced difficulties with trying to get business done because men kind of take it somewhere else. So my hardships have always been in that area. Like I've had no issue adapting to things. I've had no issue being comfortable with doing modeling or, you know, showing my body in a certain perspective. My issue has always been with the person I'm working with. For some reason, it's always, you know, I've kind of put myself in this box because of it, where like I don't trust reaching out to people anymore, because I've always ended up with this like, oh, well, like, hey, come to the studio, we'll make some music. And then I show up and there's a candlelight sitting there waiting for me to have a conversation with this gentleman, right? So my hardships have always been with not being able to trust the people that I'm getting into business with. Like I said, being a beautiful female and being a woman just in general, you know, it makes you kind of vulnerable in these industries. And unless you have a strong team around you, it makes you to be more like food than, you know, than somebody who's being invested in. So yeah, my hardships have always lied around not being able to trust people and doing business with them.
I completely agree with you here. And I also believe that there will be so many females out there who must be having the same problem, but they are not able to actually view and present their view to the people. But I'm glad that you actually kept this important issue here and raised it. And definitely many people are going to be inspired and they will notice it for sure. Okay, so is there something along your journey as a model that you are most proud of? And if there's this one moment, what would that be? But I'm sure personally that you must be having a lot of proud moments. But what is that one moment that you love the most about?
Honestly, for me, the most exciting part about this is like signing online months later and seeing like the product of what you've done, right? So, you know, I've worked with a bunch of photographers, and sometimes they just, you know, they take my work and they put it in the back burner, or they're like, oh, these are cute, and they throw it away for a second, and then months later I sign online and they have tagged me in a photo that they've done of me, and I get to see that, and I'm like, oh my God, that's me. Like, that's insane, you know? So for me, the funnest part about any of this, music, modeling, creating music, is the end result, is the product, the finished product, me being able to look at the finished photo and be like, oh my God, like that's me, you know what I'm saying? Because I see myself in the mirror every day, but when a photographer can present that view of me so well, it's, you know, there's almost like an adrenaline rush that's involved with it, you know? Amazing. It's the same with videos too. When somebody does like one of my music videos, like doing the video, it's fun, a little bit stressful, a little bit chaotic, but the finished product is like, that's where I get my most joy.
Amazing, amazing. Okay, so moving to the next segment, do you remember any moment which you could describe as your happiest? So what would that moment be?
I would have to say my most proud moment as an artist and slash model was when I performed at Dundas Square. I was invited to do an original piece, one of my own songs. You guys can actually find it online if you go onto YouTube and you type in Vanessa Vane. The videos of all of my performances will come up. I would have to say that was my biggest, most proud moment, because it was the biggest group of people I've ever performed in front of. And the fact that like I can still go back and see that video and watch my growth in comparison to who I've become now. I always refer back to that moment because I felt so nervous and I felt so scared and I felt so worried that I wasn't gonna do well. And when I finished, I felt so uplifted. The crowd loved it. And regardless of those kind of fears that were like festering up inside of me, I still got it done and the finished product was still amazing. So, you know, that moment when I'm now doing performances and when I'm now, you know, in the studio recording or I'm, you know, about to do a photo shoot, I can always refer back to that moment and be like, there's nothing to worry about. This is going to be great, you know? So I would have to say that Dundas Square performance is like one of my most, I've done tons of performances in Toronto, lots and lots and lots. I've worked with many artists, but that specific moment for me is like a very referable and proud moment because I can remember that day being so stressful and scary for me, but it just ended up being so perfect at the end. So
yes, Okay, amazing, amazing. Okay, so moving forward, we all know that the pandemic was never expected, and it actually landed us all into locked ourselves into our own homes. We could not move, and so but if you look at the positive side, it also gave us an opportunity to work on ourselves and make and get out a better version of ourselves. So, what is the best thing that happened to you during the pandemic, and how did you work on yourself during the pandemic?
So during the pandemic, lots of milestones happened for me in specific. I had a business, we were running a business, the business went under during COVID. So, a lot of stress was involved with that. I started tapping into a lot of bad habits in the beginning of COVID, including drinking. I was drinking a little bit more than I would beforehand. And, the pandemic brought for me a clarity in myself where I had no choice but to sit and stare at who I was. I had no choice but to, there was nothing else to do but sit here with myself and know myself and learn myself. And in the midst of this, I had been offered an opportunity to become an online streamer. Okay. And in that field, the network was just immaculate. The amount of people that started to tap into my music, that have followed me on my Instagram and started to inquire about who I was. And, I don't know if you're very familiar about the music industry in Toronto, but it's very, very cutthroat. And a lot of artists have to branch out to places like the States and, other places in the world to get people to actually click and listen to their music. Toronto, we don't support each other the way outside supports us, right? And tapping into the streaming world, I got to meet so many different types of people from different places in the world. And at this point, I can hop in somebody's stream, and as soon as they see my name, they pull up my song and play it, where I wasn't getting that same amount of support out of my city and off of Instagram. So the best thing for me that happened in this pandemic was, sitting in front of this camera, my phone, and talking to these people. But at the same time, it's like looking in a mirror. I'm staring at myself, right? I'm communicating with all these people, but I'm staring at myself all day, and I'm learning the way I move. I'm learning the way I respond, and I'm learning the way that I react. And I was able to tweak things about my personality and about the things that I care about. And I learned things about other people that taught me how to be a better person. And this pandemic actually brought for me sobriety. It brought for me, I actually got sober. I'm 1 year sober now. October 31st was my 1 year sobriety anniversary. And this pandemic, if I wasn't able to sit here with myself for this amount of time, I would never have been able to pull myself out of the bad habits that I was getting myself into. So the pandemic for me was more of a blessing than anything. Has it been hard as an artist? Yes, because, I don't have access to studio like I used to. And, shows and performances, they're not happening like they used to. And, if whether you chose to get vaccinated or not depends on whether or not you can be outside and be in certain vicinities and stuff. So it's limited my access to, certain things, but it's also taught me that I can do this stuff by myself. Like, I can build my own home studio. I can buy my own camera and take my own photos, and it's kind of made me more self-efficient. The pandemic itself brought some emotions out that I didn't know, were kind of festering up in there. And it's been for most of it, like, I don't get to see my family members and my friends as much, and I don't get to network physically anymore, but it's brought this new world of like online network and self-awareness, that I didn't have before. So exactly. I personally, as much as I would love for these masks and the pandemic to go away, I'm so grateful for the time it gave me to learn myself.
Exactly. I mean, the way we see that you have pulled yourself out of the bad habits that you actually went into during this pandemic, we see that you're actually a kind of inspiration for the people out there who are actually not able to move out of the bad habits that they have been inclined to. So I'm glad that you have worked on yourself and have become so much better than you were. And I hope that people hear you out and they work on themselves too. Okay, moving forward, every person has their own set of weakness and strength, and you must be having yours too. So, what is your greatest strength and weakness, and what do you do to actually overcome your weakness?
My weakness has to lie in my empathy. I am such an energy receiver. I sometimes don't know how to turn off other people's energies when they're around me. So I'm very, very empathetic. I can be globally empathetic sometimes, where if something, even in another country is happening and it's very, very negative, I can feel it. And it affects the way I move. It affects the way, I speak. And, learning to be self-aware of these things so that I can, navigate empathy has probably my biggest downfall, because it makes me want to help. It makes me want to help a lot of people. And sometimes in the position that I'm in, I'm not able. So it makes me feel like when I'm reaching out to help people and I'm not getting through, it sometimes pulls me into this kind of like, I'm very codependent. I don't feel worthy unless I'm helping somebody. So when I can't help people, and the pandemic kind of put us all in that, like, right, I can't get out to do the things I used. I can't get out to reach out to give a hand to somebody anymore. So my empathy kind of brings sometimes this depression where I'm like, you know what, what's the point? If I can't help these people and I'm not able, what's the point? And that's something that I definitely still to this day have to work on daily, not allowing other people's energies and negativities fester in my world. So that would be probably one of my biggest downfalls. And I have a sense of naivety where I can be very naive to other people's intentions, and I know that what my intentions are. And sometimes I apply my intentions to everybody. So I'm like, if I feel this way and I want to do good, they must want it too. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. And that naive little girl kind of just hopes that everybody's like me. And I learn a lot of the time that they're not. And there's a lot of not very genuine, nice people in this world, right? So right. I do my best to navigate around that. My biggest strength would probably have to be my mouth. I got the gift of gab. I'm able to have a conversation with anyone, depending, no matter where they're from, what background, what environment, how they were raised. I'm able to relate to everybody, and I'm able to help them through any type of disturbance they might have, because I have a lot of experience in, a negative life, because I had a negative upbringing. I had a negative childhood. And for me, the only way that I can heal from these things is by helping other people heal from them. So, that my strength in modeling and singing and just being an influencer in general is being able to have communication with anybody.
That's amazing. I mean, you are so self-aware of your strength, of your weaknesses, and we rarely see that. And I'm really proud of you, of all the hurdles that you faced. And at the end, you are here doing well. You want to help people. This is one of the best quality I see in you. Amazing. Okay, moving to the next segment, what professional goal do you have for yourself now? We see that you are actually mastering all of your fields that you're working into. So what are your professional goals that you're looking forward to?
So if I'm speaking long-term, I just want my music to be heard by women all over the world. I love that men listen to my music too, but my focus is to make women stronger. Make women more proud of themselves, proud of their bodies, proud of their inner beauty. Right. I think women are the first to be attacked in a lot of the situations, and I'm here to bring strength to every woman around me. That's my goal. When it comes to anything that I do in life, my goal is to make an easier life for women, and by being a strong woman myself, I just want to, set an example for them and give them enough strength that they if she can stand in her skin alone. That's a single mom, and she's attacking the world on her own. I want women to feel that with me, and I want them to feel that strength, and I want to bring them with me and let them know they're not alone. And that's what I try to portray in my music most of the time. But when I'm speaking of long-term goal, I want to be able Now, money is not everything. And let me just be very clear about that. I'm not a materialistic person. A lot of people look at me right away. They think, oh, she's gorgeous. She wears nice clothes. She must be materialistic.
Okay.
Literally the opposite. I spend money on the cheapest clothes. Spend more money on food than I do on like my aesthetic. I literally buy the cheapest version of everything. That's like, I am a budget shopper, very much so. Because, you know, not only am I a mother and I have to worry about making sure that he's taken care of first. I was just raised knowing that, like, you know, these things, you know, they're temporary. You know what I mean? They don't last. They're not here forever. But I do want to be able to be successful enough and have enough money so that I can start organizations. Music is my in, but my whole idea at the end of the day is my father was, he was a little bit of a hustler. He did everything under the table, not by the book. But he had organizations that he ran, and we did some charity work as a younger child. I was always in business with my father. He had a bunch of like charity companies that I later found out in life weren't actually real. I was actually working for these charity companies for my father that were fraudulent. And
my God,
when I found that out at 16 years old, it broke my heart. It broke my spirit. And it made me see for the first time that, like, sometimes even the closest people to you can't be trusted. And it made me, it built this burning desire to restart these companies, these charity companies that he had for real. And one of those companies was Canadians Against Child Abuse Society. I grew up in a home where child abuse was normal. And so for me, like, my biggest goal is, like, music is my passion. It's my world. It's what makes me happy. It's what fuels my soul. And I want to be able to use that to build a life and an organization for women and children, a safe place where I can make sure that, you know, this charity that my dad had me working for as a young child can be done for real. And I can actually reach out to families and help them get out of abusive situations, you know, families that deal with alcoholism, you know, stuff like that. My burning passion is to be able to have enough money to start a real organization like this.
Amazing. I mean, I'm super glad to see that you are such an inspiration for so many people out there, for the aim that you carry forward in your life. Okay, so moving forward, every person has one inspiration, has that one person in their life that they look up to when they need any answer, or be it when they need an advice in a difficult situation. So who is your inspiration and why?
There's probably like a handful of people, depending on what aspect of my life you're actually speaking about. My mom, it has to be number one on that list. That's my queen, my world. She's the woman that got me through every single thing that I you know, mustered up in this life. Every struggle, every tear, every smile. My mom has been there through it all. Like, you know, my mom has been to every show, every get together, anything that had anything to do with Vanessa, my mom was involved in. So she's number one when it comes to inspiration. When it comes to music, Alicia Keys and Celine Dion and Christina Aguilera were my queens. I was obsessed. A lot of my aesthetic and look comes from Christina Aguilera. My ability to sing and my vocal ranges have come from Alicia Keys and Celine Dion. And those are the females that I've always looked up to. When it comes to fashion sense and, you know, being able to be creative in the way that I dress, I love Lady Gaga. Lady Gaga is, oh my God. I can only aspire to be like a quarter of her type of amazing, you know, and the way she just wears whatever and makes it look amazing. I just, you know, she's probably the most genius model that I could speak of, you know, to this day, because I'm more like at runway modeling and stuff. It's great. It's lovely to watch for me and stuff. But for me, when it comes to modeling, I want to be like the weirdest one in the room and the most outworldly, you know what I mean? And I think Lady Gaga really expresses that part, you know?
Yes.
And I do want to actually mention Brandy Nix. I know you guys know who that is. Brandy Nix, for me, in the last 3 to 4 years has been such an inspiration and such a motivator for me. Like, I can't even express how amazing this woman is and how supportive she is of other females. Like, she she inspires me every day with her just ability to just be herself unapologetically. And, she could be in the room with anybody and she will fit right in. And her ability to just do as she pleases, I aspire to get from her all the time. Like, for me, it's like being a mom. Sometimes I kind of put myself in these boxes, like, oh, I can't do that because I'm a mom, shouldn't do that because I'm a mom. And I look to people like Brandy for that, like, man, we just do what I want. And she gives that to me. She really does. So Brandy has been somebody who, as of recent, has really, really been inspiring me and keeping me on my grind, because it's hard within the pandemic and like, all these new hurdles we're bumping into. Sometimes if you don't have somebody like Brandy has been for me, you might just give up, and that's probably the saddest story to tell in a situation like this. Like, I stopped because of the pandemic. And with people like Brandy, there was no stopping for me. So I really, really appreciate her time and presence.
Amazing. So this gets me to my last question now. So if there is anything that you could change about your journey so far, what would it be and why?
I know this is going to be typical, but nothing. Okay. I would change nothing about my journey. Absolutely not. I wouldn't be the person I am today if it not be for the struggles, if it not be for the hurdles, if it not be for the times I were kicked down and the opportunities I lost, the opportunities I didn't get to. All of those things made me who I am. All of those things made me stronger. They made me more aware. They made me more beautiful inside, because I was able to still, when you go through a struggle and you're able to pull yourself out of it, you are 10 times stronger every time. So every time I got a door closed in my face, then it hurt. At the time that it's happening, it hurts. Your heart hurts, you get anxiety and stuff. But now when I look back at all of these moments, like, your struggle is your receipt to success.
Right.
If you don't have those struggles to look back at and be like, well, this costed me this much, this costed me that much, this cost me this much, and then this is the total of what it costed me. But then when I look inside my fridge, I have all this abundance to feed off of. Right? So for me, I would not change a thing. I would not change a thing, not about my past, not about my journey at all.
Amazing. So finally, Vanessa, it was nice talking to you. I personally got so motivated, and now I'm feeling so energetic talking to you, and it was an amazing conversation, and I hope it was the same for you.
It was for me. Thank you so much. I appreciate this opportunity.
It was an amazing time. And for everyone else, I'll be back next week with another episode of Model Insights. Until then, stay safe and stay healthy. It was nice talking to you, Vanessa. Bye.
Take care.